Hi folks, how you doing? Russell True Results 303.com. Check out the website, link in the description box. Mind, body, spirit, fitness. Put in the healing back in health. Once again, when you're at the website, sign up for the free newsletter. Check out the downloads, setting goals, fitness, nutrition. Social media, Facebook, Twitter, Google+. The podcast is out there. True Results 303, no E in that, true. Coming at you today with a video on being brainwashed from birth. Right? I think this is something that we need to truly understand. And there's so many different aspects I could go, but I'm going to try and stick with the ones that might not be so offensive, hopefully. And of course, I do a lot of this without taking notes. I don't have my notes here, so I'm probably going to forget. So you're going to need to comment in the comment box on what your thoughts are. Whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong, anything along those lines. Alright? So the first one I'm going to go with is, they even talk about in the womb now. When they play classical music for, infants in the womb, it has a great impact on the development of the child. So I think that's something we need to understand. So what are you listening to when, or during the pregnancy phase where you are actually carrying your child? What are you listening to? Because now they're starting to, the research is starting to show that these things affect the child. Is there arguments, things like that? These types of things are going to affect the child. I think the next is just when we're born. And I had this in another video called maybe how to overcome emotional eating. And I think we've got to understand this as well, especially now in broken homes and things like that. I dated a girl who had a child, and every time his father would pick him up, he would take him to McDonald's. So he always called it Papa Donald's. So no matter what, he always wanted to go to McDonald's, especially when he was missing his father, right? He'd be like, I want to go to Papa Donald's. So we got to understand that we are in those certain ways, we are brainwashing our children. And this is the same thing with emotional eating, right? Our child will get hurt, and the first thing you say is, do you want some ice cream? Do you want this? Do you want that? So right off the bat, we're programming our children to understand when we experience pain and hurt, emotional issues, food. Go to food, right? So we've got to understand that that is another way that we are brainwashing our children. Next, I'm going to go with preventing our children from being able to express themselves. Right? I know we've got to understand that we usually know what's best for our children, or at least we think we do. But I think we need to understand that if they want to, at least as long as they are arguing, or we can call it debating, right? We do it with our spouses, with our friends. As long as they are doing it in a respectable manner, we need to let them express themselves, right? Because if not, when your child tries to challenge you, I see it in my own family. I've done it with my cousins as well. They're trying to express themselves in some way, shape, or form. Like, shut up, I don't want to hear it. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. Shut up, right? So once we start saying that to them, anytime they want to express themselves, we just tell them to shut up. It doesn't matter. And then we wonder why, when our children get older, they are unable to express themselves, whether it be at school, public speaking, whatever the case may be. They are unable to express themselves because anytime they tried to when they were younger, we told them, shut up, it didn't matter, nobody cares what you think. So I think we've got to understand as well that, once again, once we start doing this at a younger age, it hurts our children. And we need to be able to allow them to express themselves. But once again, we also we need to make sure that they are doing it in a respectable manner. I've said this before, me coming from now or transitioning to the Christian Catholic belief, I've had a conversation with homosexuality in the Catholic Church with a homosexual man, and we talked for 2 hours. and we were respectable towards each other. And at the end, we respected each other's point of view. He told me, anyways, that he had a different view of Christians after that, just because it was respectable and we were able to understand where each other was coming from. So that's another way. We just need to make sure that if they can say it respectably, once again, this is also allowing our children to realize that, hey, you're not always going to get things your way, which is going to lead us to purchasing too much crap for our children. Don't just buy them all this stuff. You got to let them know you're not always going to get it your way. So if we're always buying them stuff, that's a bad thing. So if you are truly, sorry, I keep looking over there. I've been trying to download a video for the last day and a half. It's failed on me 3 times already, so I'm just looking at it to make sure. So if you see me reaching over, I'm trying to make sure my computer doesn't go to sleep. And then, of course, I just got off topic and I lost my train of thought there. But I think it's that same issue of letting our children know that it's not all about them. It's truly not. Okay? The next thing I'm going to go with it's when it comes to church. So I made a video on why children are leaving the Catholic Church, or why they don't agree with the Catholic Church. And the thing is, and my mother and I have this conversation. Of course, I'm a lot older, but if you don't like what the priest said, you don't believe the teachings of the church and this and that. So if you don't like the priest, you talk about how you don't believe in the teachings of the church or this or that of the Bible, you're already starting to tell your child, hey, this is a bunch of BS and there's no reason to believe in it. So the child might start to think, why does mom and dad even go? Or why does dad even go? What's the point? They don't believe in any of this, so why should I? So we've got to make sure to understand that as well, okay? When it comes to the negativity, right, we always talk about you need to think positive and things like that. So whenever those negative conversations come up, you need to make sure that you're having those away from your children to where they cannot hear these things, because you are brainwashing your child in that sense. You need to understand that. Then you get upset, well, I don't know why they don't want to go to church. Well, all they did was hear you talk negatively about it forever, so why would they? Okay? Next thing, we do this same thing with marriage and relationships. We wonder why our children don't want to be in relationships, don't want to be married or anything like that, or they don't even know how to treat a woman correctly or a male correctly, and that comes back to you. How are the two of you treating each other? If all they see is arguing and fighting and things of that nature, why are they ever going to want to get married? Why? Why would they ever want to? Doesn't make any sense, right? Or how are they going to know how to treat others when y'all can't treat each other with respect anyways? So, right there, I think I'm just going to stick with that. There's a couple other ones I'd like to sit in there or talk about, but I really can't remember them right now. I know some of them were going to be probably a little offensive anyways, but like I said, those are some of the small ones that we just need to truly understand and start to really think about in our daily lives, and how we are affecting our children in the youngest growing phase of their life, right? Those are important years of our children's life. And if we are not working on ourselves and learning to control ourselves and understand our own beliefs and what we want in the world of our children, actually I just thought of one since I'm going on. One is letting your children quit. I don't think you should ever let your children quit. Right? If they signed I took Kung Fu when I was in, I think, 6th or 7th grade, middle school. And I did 6 months of it, but to tell you the truth, I didn't like it. But to me, I guess I never even really thought to quit, but I know my mother wouldn't have let me. Especially as much money as she spent on that 6 months of Kung Fu, she would have never let me quit. Ever. So, I didn't. And you shouldn't let your children quit either. Never let them know that it's okay, just quit when you decide to get into something. You at least follow through with your plan, and you do what needs to be done. Okay. The next thing is real quick is I think it's just automatically just letting the school. This is what we do is in general. We're letting our school brainwash our children. We've got to understand that just because they might have gotten a C, a D, a B, whatever the case may be, doesn't mean they're stupid, right? There's different ways of teaching children, and I think if your child is struggling, it's our job as parents, as family members, to be able to help them. We've got to understand that everybody learns in a different way. I had a high school math teacher. When I transferred to my third high school, I got stuck in this math class called IMP. I don't even know what it stands for now. But it was all word problems. And it was horrible. I hated word problems. But the great thing about this math teacher was he would teach you 4 ways to solve the problem, and you could solve it whichever way you wanted as long as you got the correct answer and showed your work. Okay? So I think we've got to understand that if our children are struggling, we have to come up with better ways to help educate and help our children within the school system. I listened to a guy's podcast called Rewild Yourself, Daniel Vitalis. He is definitely not a religious person, but one thing I thought he said that was very interesting, I think he even says he dropped out of high school. And he said, I would have never learned chemistry until I decided I wanted to start making my own herbal supplements. And once I started mixing and matching these things, I was able to understand chemistry more. And then, of course, biology, once you start understanding the body and, learning muscle groups and things like that. So everybody learns in a different way, and we can't let these things think less of our children because of what the school says. We've got to be able to understand that our children are fascinating, intelligent, and beautiful in their own way, just the way God made us, all individual. And we've got to be able to understand how we can build upon the way that they think and the way that they act and help them to grow. So, all right, now I'm done. There it is. Food for thought. How can you actually do these things that are going to help change your child's life? Or now maybe be able to change the way you think, and you can look back and say, now that makes sense. Now I understand why I am the way I am, because of these things that had happened to me in the past. So once again, food for thought. I hope it helps. Social media, Facebook, Twitter, Google+. The podcast is out there, all major podcast players. True Results 303, no E. Subscribe to this channel. Share and like these videos.